Okay, so this is my first negative video against Project Indigo. I didn't actually receive an affirmative video from my competitors. However, I did get a chance to read their cards. I didn't see a specific plan or a particular argument made about Project Indigo besides the fact that it is a potential solution to some of the cyberspace issues that have been happening. So today I'm just going to be arguing against it because it has some potential problems. Beginning with subpoint A, the growth of data attacks means more specific protection is necessary. Project Indigo involves a subset of the FSISAC, the Financial Systemic Analysis and Resilience Center, also known as the FSARC, voluntarily sharing scrubbed data with U.S. Cybercom as well as the Department of Homeland Security and Treasury. This scrub data is not coming from small financial institutions. It is coming from some of the largest banks in the U.S. According to media reports, the banks involved are Bank of America, BNY Mellon, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, State Street, and Wells Fargo. Even more challenging, however, is the detection of attacks through analysis across multiple datasets in parallel. There is little value in sharing data if the analysis is still siloed into a single dataset. Cybercom probably does not really care if FSISAC member X is under attack. However, Cyber Command would be extremely interested if the broader financial services sector were under attack. Most organizations today are challenged to utilize their security information and event management effectively within their own organization. Can you imagine trying to write effective SIEM correlations effectively across organizational data sets? That is that is simply not going to happen, not even with the personnel and financial resources of the NSA. Machine learning, on the other hand, is far better suited for this cross-data set analysis for the detection of attacks through the use of transfer learning. Subpoint B, sharing threat data may increase the chance of hacking the U.S. government. The U.S. financial system is a target for foreign cyber adversaries for several reasons. First, the financial sector is one of the bedrocks of the U.S. and global economy. Significant disruptive or destructive attacks against the financial sector could have catastrophic effects on the economy and threaten financial stability. In this nascent and informal program, firms have reportedly shared threat data with U.S. Cyber Command regarding nation-state threat actors. Ideally, routinizing this cooperation, together with opportunities for joint training and exercises, could ensure the government is better equipped to recognize and respond to systemic threats to the sector and provide it with early warning of impending cyber attacks. However, Project Indigo is only in the pilot stage. Therefore, while it represents an important proof of concept for deeper collaboration between the government and Section 9 firms, there are nevertheless significant additional measures that should be taken. On the government side, significant gaps remain in integrating U.S. government efforts with respect to Section 9 financial firms. Given existing authorities, the DHS would be the natural hub to coordinate the federal government's role across the different aspects of this proposal, because the DHS's core mission is to safeguard the U.S. homeland. Importantly, this proposal would not replace the DHS's key function in continuing to share vulnerability information through traditional mechanisms. Subpoint C. The U.S. financial system crash could decimate economies worldwide. After over 2 decades of global military leadership, cyberspace is the only domain of warfare in which the United States faces near-peer or even peer competitors. Put together, this makes the financial sector an exceptionally attractive target for adversaries because it provides them with an asymmetric advantage. Targeting the financial sector in cyberspace is one of the few ways adversaries can directly challenge the U.S. through significant and potentially catastrophic effects on the U.S. economy. Thus, when a conventional confrontation is out of the question, rivals may prefer to target the soft underbelly and coerce the U.S. via cyber means. This risk is only likely to grow as the financial sector increasingly relies on digital infrastructure and financial technology. Systems become more interconnected and processes become more automated, threat actors become more capable and adaptive, and geopolitical dynamics create motivations to disrupt the U.S. economy. However, the infrastructure of information and communications technology was not designed with security as a priority. These risks are compounded by the international and interdependent nature of the global financial system. Specifically, U.S.-based firms that are essential to U.S. financial stability have interests in operations that span the world, creating an exceptionally large surface area of attack for foreign threat actors to challenge U.S. interests far from the homeland. Moreover, global financial interdependence also breeds global financial vulnerability. A U.S. financial institution designated to be too big to fail in cyberspace could be held at risk indirectly through cascading effects on the global financial system if foreign threat actors target financial institutions in foreign countries. In turn, the outsized role the U.S. plays in the global economy also implies that the stability and integrity of the U.S. financial sector firms are critical to global financial security. Subpoint D. Banks are tentative to share more information than needed. As I mentioned earlier, there were 8 very large banks that are taking part of Project Indigo, which provides data to the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Treasury. However, those agencies were already getting data from the banks that is narrowly leveraged for defensive measures. The financial institutions that participate in the arrangement gave consent to FSARC to share the data with the U.S. government. Sources spoke on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the program. Under the agreement, financial institutions share data considered not exclusive to any one financial firm, a former U.S. official said. Another source familiar with the program said that it was challenged by the simple fact that banks weren't yet interested in sharing at a level which would be truly useful for Cyber Command. So, because of all of the problems that have happened in recent years with hacking and people's information getting leaked, it is very obvious why many of these banks and many of the customers of these banks would not want their information to be given to the government. If these 8 banks who have millions of customers coming into them frequently, if Project Indigo were to have some sort of hacking issue or had somebody who is able to breach their security lines, there would be catastrophes all over the world because it wouldn't affect people just within the United States, but this would have effects that go into countries all over the world. So clearly, while this may be a good idea for some smaller banks or some institution that has less of an impact on the worldwide economy, it may work. But for the reasons that I mentioned before, it is not a good option for U.S. Cyber Command.